imitation and what is knowledge spillover. For example, when Apple comes up with iPad, even in the US, you see a lot of similar products. Okay, so how similar is too similar, and to what extent is violation? In that sense, government is not always on your side because they are eager to promote domestic producers. Customers are not always on your side because they appreciate the low price offered by those imitators. So in those cases, firms have to be very careful about strategy because IP law may not always be available or helpful, and these are the common strategies taken by firms. Human capital is a big issue. If you look at the R&D department of multinational companies, everything is color-coded. Okay, this group has access to the red files, the other group has access to yellow files, and you never know what's going on without knowing both. Okay, so it's all this very compartmentalized data files accessed only by small groups of people. Even if an engineer leaves, it will not be so damaging to the firm. So this is the complicated IP HR system that is developed to deal with the high turnover and so on. Leveraging unique capabilities or market position, that's another thing. I know my blueprint I cannot protect my blueprint, but I can protect my position in the supply chain. So, for example, in my hometown, there are people who paid a lot of money to buy the blueprint, the authentic blueprint. And I asked them, you paid so much money. Are you afraid that your product will be imitated? And the answer is yes, they may well be imitated, but we have to be like a licensed producer in order to participate in the supply chain. So with that, I feel comfortable paying for the blueprint because the other people, even if they know how to produce the same thing, they cannot take my position because I'm the only licensed producer that is allowed to participate in the system. So there are other complementary assets that are helping them to protect their interest. Flexible organization is another thing. The R&D facilities, especially by multinational companies, are serving multiple purposes, and they're very flexible in what they do. Okay, if they find one area is not profitable because of the complication with IP, because of the surge of imitation and so on, they quickly switch to something else. And I personally see people who are working on a product specifically for the Chinese market, but then they soon realize they really cannot make much money out of this product because already strong competitors are coming along with very similar products, and this team began to develop products for the European markets. Okay, because they have the expertise and they can switch quickly. So that's the organizational advantage some of the companies enjoy. And finally, the complementary networks and complementary resources. This is very important for companies span across borders. I saw that not only in foreign companies, but also in domestic companies who have a leg in a foreign country. So, for example, maybe you see this before, products have very different components that you need. For example, CT scanner, complicated products. You need a lot of the hardware and the software component to make it work. And you have some of it being developed in China. The complementary components can be other technologies. It can be your marketing skills. It can be your design skills, something that cannot be easily taken away by imitators. And the part that is being developed in China may be very valuable to you. This is cutting-edge technology. This takes hundreds of PhDs working together to make it happen. But the PhDs cannot realize any value out of this piece without having it combined with the complementary assets, at the headquarters or at a foreign location. So in that sense, it was the complementary capabilities companies have that alleviate the concern of local IP violations. usually imitators are more interested in a whole package rather than a component. A component cannot bring any immediate financial return to the imitators, so why bother? So if you look at the R&D labs, a lot of them are developing algorithms. Okay. The algorithms are very important for the next generation Microsoft product, IBM product, and so on. But the local imitators are not interested in algorithms because they're so far away from commercialization. The algorithms will be valuable when combined with what Microsoft and IBM has to offer. So this is the kind of complementarity that companies are taking advantage of. Finally, I just want to have a quick word about what it means for the future reforms. One, a good part I noticed is that people realized IP reform is not only a legal reform. Okay, it's not only about a change on patent law or just appointment of certain important judges. It's really a systematic effort involving privatization, as I said, government intervention and labor issues. All these things get into the IP picture. So it's not enough to have a very stringent patent law. It's also important to have clear guidelines as to the labor management of labor, the privatization of SOEs, ownership of the company, ownership structure, governance structure, and so on. And all these reforms come together to make the IP protection effective. And that's something that has been recognized recently. What's interesting is that the kind of smart strategies you see in the previous several slides may make the momentum weaker in down the road. Just think about it. If the indigenous Chinese companies come up with their own patents and they rely on the IP system to make it work, then the Chinese government will have a stronger incentive to implement the IP system because their companies need it, right? But if the companies are so smart, they already developed alternative ways to protect their IP without relying solely on the legal system, then the kind of urgency would be less. Right? So in a sense, it's good to see all kinds of smart strategies companies are coming up with to deal with the weak system. But on the other hand, if all the companies already developed the alternative smart strategies, I don't see how, what kind of push the government will have to have a more formal system in place. So this is like a chicken and egg problem going on there. Okay, I'll stop here if you have questions.